Car handled real good.
Alrighty, here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Boom, and welcome to the Big Honker Podcast, brought to you by Goose Creek Retrievers. I am Jeff Stanfield with the world-famous Andy Shaver. And our guest today is the most unique man in waterfowl from Amarillo, Texas.
I would say so.
Cadillac Creek, Mr. Toby Brohlin. Toby, how are you doing?
Good, guys. Thank y'all for
We're
having
excited
me.
to have you. And now that we don't have your number one employee just fucking running your name through the mud.
The savior of the Central Flyway himself.
Yeah, you're tied up to two of them. You got Guggenheim and Chance Bass. Which one of them is the maker of your deal?
Yeah, edit this part. Fuck them all.
Oh man, that was a lot of fun, but a lot of people were like, they took him too. Number one, a lot of people took him too seriously. I'm like, you got to understand, we were just bullshitting, and we'd all had a couple drinks that day, so like,
Chance is a good kid,
but a lot of guys were like, man, he's such an ass, and I'm like, yeah, but we were just talking shit was all it was basically. So
yeah, well, and you know, I think a lot of it is just his dialect and the way that he presents himself. We've had clients say the same thing. It's like, Chance is the best person, one of the best kids I've ever met. He's funny, but just the way that he says things or delivers it, sometimes you're like, I can't tell if he's serious or not.
Right. Yeah, he's almost kind of got a dry way about him where you're just like, I'm not sure if that's.
I'm not sure if you're being an asshole or not.
I can't really. Are you insulting me, or like, are we having fun? What are we doing?
I think
here?
It's an age thing.
What do you mean?
That generation. How old's Chance? 22, 23?
He's 22
he's
now.
the same age Payne is. It's just it's a generation. He doesn't come across. He's just blunt and says what he says what's on his mind, but he doesn't have enough life experience where people take it that way. Like if I say something like he does, they just think I'm a grouchy old man. If it's a younger guy doing it, they think, boy, he's just a freaking young asshole.
Yep.
Chance is a good kid. He's just a young kid. That's that generation.
Oh yes.
Y'all have turned y'all are living the life, the hunting that I grew up when I started my business in. Same kind of hunting. Small birds, big flocks, killing lots of birds. The difference is there's social media today that we didn't have when I was your age doing the same thing.
Right.
My question.
It's a valuable tool for sure.
My question is, and it's what everybody else is, not everybody else is thinking, I'm thinking this. What can y'all do to try to keep the geese that where you're at? Because those birds bounce around. Those small flocks of birds spend about a decade somewhere, then they bounce somewhere else, and they have for the last 50 years. What can y'all do to ensure that you keep them birds around Amarillo, you think?
A lot of, on our dry years, which we have a lot of dry years, but I think our saving grace is we always have right here in town in Amarillo, we have big city ponds, big city lakes, parks and stuff that always hold birds. So on those dry years, we may not be having to travel, 30 miles either way. We may be hunting right on the edge of town, but typically speaking, there's birds in town, and it works. We always have them, but it also gets a little sketchy when they're staying in town because they can walk up on the bank at the park and get food. They don't have to fly and get out of town much to go get hunted. But I think that's our saving grace as far as keeping birds around here is just they've always got water and a place that they've got a refuge essentially.
Yeah. That makes a big difference. This is what I've been told about this year. I've been told there's no food north of Lubbock this year. Is that true?
We've got a yes. Yeah, we'll go with that. That's what they were telling you the truth.
That's
really?
what it's to Amarillo before you find any food this year that all the stuff north of Lubbock that they hunt there's no food this year. Or there's not much food. I'm sure there's some, but there's a lack of groceries north of Lubbock this year. Is that right, or is it south of Lubbock? One area around Lubbock does not have any groceries, I was told.
Yeah, and Jeff, I honestly, I tried not to venture much south. I kind of try to stay out of that rat race, and I've got friends that are, right up the road to the south of me, and I try to stay out of their way, and mutual respect on both sides. So I honestly couldn't tell you, but I know around here, we've got a lot of milo in the ground. We've had a lot of rainfall. It's wet, wet, wet. But I was talking to some farmers the other day, and they said, we've got a lot of milo in the ground. We could use a little more water. So as wet as it is, I've been praying for a little more rainfall to help them get that going. But I'm driving around right now. It looks like Arkansas out here. Every field you look at's got standing water.
That's insane, especially for this time of year. A lot of times that's fucking the opposite.
Yeah.
So last year you guys just beat up the Ducks. Is that normal for you guys, or was last year kind of an anomaly?
I think the reason we had such a good duck year, I think we had 4 roost lakes total. I mean, it was just dry as hell everywhere. So you went south of us, they didn't have any water. So we just held on to everything. Same thing with cranes. Normally our cranes are gone by Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. Last year we had cranes all the way through the season. They're just like they never left. But as far as the ducks, I think that was a lot of it. Is we just had the water and the groceries, so they had a place to stay around and didn't have any reason to leave.
Yeah, because I mean, I see you on Instagram and everything, and I mean, it was last year seemed like you were getting cranes out the ass, ducks out the ass, and geese out the ass. Was last year far and away your best season since you've started Cadillac Creek?
To be perfectly honest with you, I think we killed more birds, yes, because we ran more clients. Mm-hmm. But no, we struggled with birds basically the whole month of January. That's why we kept having to venture kind of outside of our stomping grounds. We didn't have a lot of water to begin with, and then when it started drying up, we had to kind of cruise and find new areas. And we had a really good start last year. We just didn't have the best January, and typically around here, January is our best month.
So just for my friends down in Texas that make the seasons, that are the smartest people in the world, how is the February goose hunting in Amarillo for those 2 weeks of dumbass season we have?
It's not worth getting out of bed, to be honest with you.
Now, I just want the people in the back of the room to hear this. So say it again, please, for the people that set these seasons. Say it again, please.
Yeah, ask Chance Bass at chancebass.com. No, it's a waste of time, really. I mean, I appreciate the extra 2 weeks. If they would, it would help me out if they gave us those 2 weeks early.
Bingo.
Our cranes are here, but at the end of the season, I mean, it's hit or miss. There are times where we've got birds, but it's not something that I can bank on and feel comfortable saying, oh yeah, we're going to go and kick the piss out of them every day. It's just not worth the gamble.
Nothing better than a guy from the Texas coast that's on that committee telling me, you don't understand. Yeah, fuck, I do understand. I've been doing this a long freaking time. Yeah. And 2 weeks in February is the dumbest shit ever. Give us back our 1st of November birds for 2 weeks. Cranes, whatever it is, it just amazes me, but argued with me about that and told me the guys, the outfitters in Amarillo, they just love this. Well, I'm waiting to see this Phantom outfitter come and tell me who it is.
Yeah, I know how our conversation went, so I don't know who else is who he's talking to around here, but I will say that there are quote unquote outfitters popping up out of the woodworks, but I told him the same thing.
Now, I mean, it's the same way here. Like, how are you going to sell a group of 12 for Valentine's Day, basically, and know good and well that there might not be any fucking birds to shoot? Like, you can't do it, because we've been out here for too long, and we've seen Valentine's Day, there might only be 5,000 birds here, especially if it's fucking 65 degrees in January like it was most of last year. So I don't know what the fuck they're thinking. Sure, and at least, correct me if I'm wrong, but you have cranes before we do, right? Don't y'all have cranes in October?
Yes.
Yeah, usually our cranes are here by the middle of October. We can't start shooting them then, obviously, but they usually get here middle of October.
When's your crane season?
Excuse me, we start on the 31st of October, typically that last week.
See, we get fucked because we can't start shooting cranes here until Thanksgiving.
Yeah, that's what I told him too. I said, yeah, them guys can start shooting cranes October 30th, the last weekend in October. We can't shoot a fucking crane till Thanksgiving weekend. So, you know, we're just not represented, Andy.
We're not we're not properly represented.
Amarillo, historically, back when I was a kid growing up, the only outfitters in the state of Texas there was two guys that hunted around Dalhart, and there was guys hunted on the Texas coast. That was the only outfitters in the whole state of Texas, basically. The guys in Dalhart, they don't have the birds that they did 40 years ago. Those birds have moved down more to Amarillo, correct?
Yeah, and Dalhart, it's one of those deals. They've got birds, but for some reason, it seems like that is the snow goose mecca.
Really?
Snow geese stick around Dalhart. We don't see them a lot around here. But no, and Dalhart's a little farther than I like to venture as well. But I definitely feel like in the last 10 years, we've kind of seen a jump in our bird numbers where we kind of set up camp east and west of Amarillo.
I think the birds have short-stopped at Lubbock area and stayed where y'all are at. And the birds, back a long time ago, I think it's Rita Blanca is the name of the lake up there, used to hold a ton of birds, but something happened. I don't know if they either drained some water off of it, but something happened a long time ago, and those birds moved out of that area. And now Amarillo, a place that's always had some geese now, how many birds y'all wintering? 300,000 birds there now?
I would bet somewhere in the neighborhood 3 to 5 is what we've put a number at, guessing.
And what's Lubbock holding now? Maybe 100,000? They're not holding the birds they've held the last 5 years.
I'm not sure. I know that they've got a hell of a lot more outfitters up there.
Fuck.
But it's the Texas Tech kids and stuff like that. But who the killers are up there, and they're still killing them. You know what I mean? McDaniel's, he still stacks them.
Derek's gonna be fucking bald and looking like Justin Hill in a couple of years because all the stress, all them other outfitters are gonna make you old fast.
Well, it's just like all it takes is one college kid that read On X wrong to fuck up the entire morning. And we've said this on the podcast: if 2 sets of headlights pull up to the field, it does not matter if you're in the right or in the wrong. You're gonna look like an ass in front of your clients, and it's just
right.
It's just the.
Well, and the best thing to do in that situation is just it's tough, because we're all tired, we're all cranky. Who knows how many days straight you've been going? It may be a weekend warrior with his dad. It may be, another guide service. But like you say, both of you now look stupid. Best thing you can do is just go and try to work together, and because the last thing you want to do is what everybody does is call the landowner at 4:00 in the morning and start a piston contest or a fist fight. Nobody wins. You got a pissed off farmer that just thinks, oh, there's enough birds for everybody to go around, and nobody wins.
And then you look up and it's the third outfitter that weasels his way into that property because guess what? He wasn't in this altercation and he's not going to do business with the guy that called. It's just, you're right. Make the best of a situation. If you can work it out, hunt together if you can. But it's a bad deal.
We're so blessed out here where we hunt. We don't deal with any of that stuff. I never, ever, you ever go to bed in Knox City and worry about what you're hunting in the morning?
Not out here, no.
None at all. And
I did in Oklahoma.
In Oklahoma, it is like that. Oklahoma's about like Lubbock where we hunt at. Even the places you have permission on, you don't know if some dipshit's going to come in there. The difference is in Oklahoma, we know that we're good friends with people we hunt on, and we're going to run their ass off.
But we weren't the first year.
Right. No, the first year we weren't. We dealt with it. First couple of years. But at Knox City, we don't worry about that shit because, plus, we're friends with everybody out here, and that makes a big difference. But in Lubbock, Lubbock, there's 25 different guys running hunts out there. You can't possibly keep up with everybody and what everybody's doing. Yeah. You don't deal with that.
When we have, I think when we have our most issues are around the holidays. we're right off I-40. So you drive east or west or north or south 30 miles around Amarillo, you're going to find birds. And the holidays, we find people and see people out poaching all the time. And thanks to Onyx, it's a great product, but it's real easy to say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I thought I was on Billy Bob Brown," and it's just and these farmers, it pisses them off. But 9 times out of the 10, they're not going to go out. They typically won't press charges. They just run you off, if that. And it is frustrating, but that's when I think we see the most issues is around the holidays.
I think one of the problems also is that so many people from big cities come out to these small areas. Now, Amarillo is a big city, so it's a little different for there, but they drive out in the country, and they're out here in Knox or Haskell County, and they drive by, and they thought, fuck, who's going to know? There's nobody out here.
Right.
Well, they don't realize that every farm, someone drives by that's a local that knows what's going on everywhere. Now, they may not file charges, but they notice people. And but in the big city mindset, they think, well, fuck, there ain't nobody lives down there anyways. They're not going to know.
Yep.
Yeah. It's an interesting time. So how do you manage your social media? Because you do have such a big social media presence. Are you worried at all that it might be a double-edged sword and get just have more people show up to Amarillo and kind of hunting in your backyard?
Oh, 100%, man. I think it's something that I talk about a lot. If you could have your pie and eat it too, I would absolutely do away with the social media. And I never dreamed that it would explode and be this big thing. Just like your podcast, right. It's huge. It's a blessing, but on the same page, I 110% know that we brought the attention here, so we are the problem. You know what I mean? But on the same page, it's hard to run a successful business. It's hard to do this day in and day out, get the clients, and be able to afford to pay these landowners what they request and want to be paid without having the strong social media and the strong client base. So it is a double-edged sword, absolutely. And so a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation.
Yeah. And I get it, man. It's just it's part of it. Fortunately or unfortunately, however you choose to look at it, it's the way that business is done today. Like if you're not on social media and if you're not putting out fresh content, then you're not gonna get to hunt these good spots because somebody else is gonna come and swoop in, and then all of a sudden it's their hunt to have. So I get it. You got to dance with the one that brought you, but it is, and I'm the same way as you. Like if I could unplug and not worry about keeping the lights on, I'd be the first one to fucking do it. But and I think
you get paid though, because there's a guy out there that's listening to this. It's an outfitter that's struggling right now.
Right.
And all the other podcast guys listen to us, and they're struggling too. And they're like, I wish I had them fuckers' problems. So it's a good thing.
It is.
It's a blessing, but it is a curse at the same time. There's no doubt about it.
Well, and you guys do a good enough job of not glamorizing it. I think you guys are real on your social media pages, and you let them know, like, listen, I've seen a lot of your posts where we ate a shit sandwich today. It was a terrible hunt, and you have that. So my hat's off to you, because you could easily just do kill pick, big rain out.
Right.
But you do a good enough job, and you have the wherewithal to, you got a lot of kids following you, and when they see, oh shit, we're not measuring up to what Toby and them are doing. It's like, listen, there's some days Toby doesn't measure up to what Toby's doing.
Right. Absolutely. That's the nature of the beast, man. I mean, if you hunt or fish long enough, you're gonna have bad days, and you can't forget where you came from. I mean, hell, we all started with bad day after bad day after bad day. We talk about it all the time, man. You try to learn something every day, and even on the good days when you can go and that one bird that didn't do it right, you're wondering why was it that way? I think that's what kind of molds you, when you are learning something from every little thing that goes good and bad. you're doing something right.
Yeah.
I can still remember the first day I guided a hunt, the first day in business for Stanfield Hunting Outfitters, and I had a shitty old truck, and I could put my decoys in the back of a pickup, and that's what I ran. So when a guy comes in to me, one of my new guides, and he comes in and starts bitching and moaning about something on a day that was a pretty decent day, you're not getting a lot of sympathy from me. Right. Been there, done that.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Oh, yeah.
It's just a lot of guys, I think, especially new guides, they have a warped sense of maybe what it's supposed to be like. It's like, listen, if you go out and kill 20, 25 birds, I'll fucking take that every day. I mean, 100 would be great, but listen, the clients are happy. They got to shoot their gun. 20 to 30, that's nothing to shake your head at.
Y'all are setting a high bar for yourselves because of social media and I didn't have to deal with that 25, 30 years ago, but you're set a high bar. So you've got the guy that's coming in from Massachusetts that's never hunted out west, and he's got 12 guys, and he expects y'all are going to kill 60 birds in 45 minutes.
Right. Yeah. No, I think you definitely see some of that. And on the other side, we get a lot of people that it may be their first time to come and hunt. We got a ton of business from Louisiana. And, those guys always talk about the days of how it used to be. And they can still come up. And to us, it may be a terrible hunt. It may be a struggle fest. But they're killing more birds in one hunt than they may have all season. And that number doesn't have to be 60.
Right.
They come and have one of those 20 bird days, and they spent less. They're having a better hunt than they would paying a lease or a duck club or something like that. So it's a catch-22. You just have to remember, a lot of these people, they may have watched the videos, and everybody wants to have that hunting experience. I want that every day. I want that for everybody. Sure. But it's not the case, and we constantly have to remind ourselves that just because we had a terrible day or it didn't work out the way that we thought it was supposed to, those people that may be on their first hunt or, are struggling at home or, whatever the case may be, they just have the time of their lives.
Yeah.
So it's just I think it's easy for us to get caught up in our own expectations.
I think that's true. I noticed last year that the customers really, their attitudes had changed so much because of the COVID and being locked down and shit. They were just happy to be out and be around their friends.
Sure, absolutely.
And now I saw where I don't know how true this is, but I seen where the East Coast shortened their limits. They really changed. There's going to be a lot of East Coast guys wanting to come out to Texas and the Midwest and places to hunt. But there's a lot of people who are thinking that the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service is going to maybe shorten duck season because of the drought conditions. And I've read some stuff yesterday on it, but I don't know. I think it's going to be more of a rumor mill than actual truth. But there are places that are really struggling on waterfowl numbers. So when you get to come to places like North Texas to hunt, and just to see the birds, they don't get to see that birds like we have here. You know? So I think that you're living the good life right now in the good old days. I think 50 years from now, you're going to say, we hunted in the good old days, because Grandpa's good old days didn't have the birds that you have right now.
No. And the same thing, 10 years ago, it was different. It changes every year. That's nature of the beast, I guess, you're hunting a migratory bird, but kind of take it while we've got it and enjoy it, because you don't know how long it's going to last.
No, that's exactly right. So what was your first year in business? What year was it?
Let's see. This will be our 7th season for Cadillac Creek.
So 14?
Oh. 14, yeah, 14, 15.
Was my math right there, Jeff?
That's pretty close. You're a year either way.
Good enough. We'll go
years
with
are
it.
kind of deal. I don't even know how long I've been in business. So it's tough, especially after you've been there a long time. They all run to concurrent anyways. So
what made you want to do this what made you want to do Cadillac Creek and dive with both
How'd you
feet?
get in the hunting business?
So when my dad passed away, everybody knows I was a musician. Yep. That was my life path. That's what I worked for, and I got the taste of it. I came back home in 2009 to start going to school for music, because that made the most sense for a young kid. Go get a music degree, leave the life on the road where you're actually making a living, and go try to get a piece of paper. But I was going to school for music, and my dad passed away just unexpectedly. Uh, Came back home for a little while, and I had every intention on finishing school and getting back out on the road, moving somewhere on the East Coast, and just trying to catch my lucky break. But when he passed, I realized pretty quick that my mom and my sister and my nieces, everybody at home needed me more than I needed that life on the road. And when I was a kid, my dad, he used to get these phone calls of funeral homes trying to sell him a plot of land, and he used to love to joke with them, say, "I'm not going to be buried in that desert." And so when we were working on the funeral arrangements, I didn't want to just go toss him in the ground and be done with it. So called up Googie, and we booked a trip to Canada. I took his ashes up to Canada on a hunt, and even though I grew up hunting and fishing, and it was something that we did, we weren't ever blessed to have the opportunity to do it all the time. I think that's a misconception. Everybody thinks that, it just was born into it.
Right.
Not the case at all. So that was 2009. We took my dad's ashes, and just it relit a spark. You know what I mean? Wasn't like, at that point I knew this is what I wanted to do with my life. But I came back home. I'd been gone for years, didn't really know a lot of people anymore. Things change, people move off. I didn't have a big friend circle anymore. Guggenheim introduced me to some people that were hunting around here, and they took me in with my tattoos and dreadlocks and treated me like a person. Uh, Todd was his name. He took me in under his wing and just kind of gave me an opportunity to go hunt, and started on the weekends. And it was a little more than that. Then I started working for him, and I saw an opportunity. He had been there, done the guide thing, and it just wasn't, at that time, it wasn't for him. He didn't want to take it to that next level. And I knew damn well if I didn't do it, it wouldn't be long before somebody else was in our footsteps, or knocking on doors that we've been knocking on. And at that same time, we had RNTV come and film up here, and when you start putting that out on national television, and the secret's
Yep.
out, if you don't start locking things up, somebody's going to see that. And I thank God that the timing worked out, and we'd already made some relationships with farmers, and it wasn't an overnight success by any means, but I just knew that if I didn't, that my kids are going to grow up struggling for a place to hunt just like
Yeah.
I did.
Do you still have some of your dad's ashes?
I do.
We did that with Ron. We cremated him, and we're getting decoy made, and we're going to put him right up. We spread some of his ashes in Michigan. I never knew what I wanted to do whenever I passed away. I'd always thought about maybe doing the coffin, but I tell you what, cremating Ron and being able to take him everywhere and have a piece of him still out here, I think that's the way to go.
And we're going to shoot him in shotgun shells.
He's getting made up into shotgun shells. So I mean, it always feels like a piece of him is still here.
Yeah, it's exactly what I was fixing to say, man. Load my ass into shotgun shells, and all of my buddies get together and go on a hunt, and it'll probably be a shitty hunt.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, you'll be hanging out. You'll be hanging out with me for all season long. Like, you'll never even get to shoot me at anything. I'll just be in your fucking bag. I'll get worked to the bottom, forgot about, and all rusty and shit. And they'll find me like years later. Be like, oh fuck, we forgot to shoot Andy off. But I think that's what I'm gonna end up doing. But I mean, Lord willing.
Hopefully
we got a few years left. But you never know. It's a dangerous line of work. So
I'm 53 and I got 35 years left.
Well, Jeff, you're not putting your life on the line like I am. Every day.
How do you figure that?
Jeff, every day, putting my life on the line for this fucking business.
Well, I appreciate that very much.
Have you knock on wood, we've not had that gun go sideways in the blind. I'm a fucking stickler for safety out there.
No, and you hunt more A-frames than we do. We do on cranes. We hunt A-frames a lot, and it's something that Chance and I think we were on another podcast. I can't remember when it was brought up, but it's something that definitely worries us. It's so easy to prop it up there and get tied up and doing everything else. And we haven't had any accidents, thank God. but it is, man. And I think the later in the season, the farther along you go, the more comfortable you get. It's just, it's stupid. You shouldn't get relaxed and comfortable, but it's just like any job you do,
We've done a really good job. Anytime we step out of the blind, it's make sure your gun's on safety, stovepipe one if you want to. And I always sit on the end, so I take everything out of the chamber. Most of the guides do either side of me. So, but all it takes is fucking. All it takes is one.
And you guys don't. Your personal. We don't even. My guides don't shoot much.
Right.
We don't do a lot of shooting.
I mean, but I'll take, especially on crane hunts, I'll take a gun every fucking time, just because. I mean.
Yeah.
I'm old and I don't want to have to run that much.
How many experts applied for a job this year, Toby, for you?
Oh Lord, it's funny, man. I get emails quite a bit, and then my favorite are the ones that are willing to come work for free. I need to get me a lineup and see how they work out.
Yeah, that always makes me nervous because I get the kids that do that, and I'm thinking, man, free labor for the whole year. Because there's an outfitter school in New Mexico or Colorado, and they get these poor fuckers to pay them $6,000 or $8,000. And they go work for free, but they pay the guys. And I'm thinking, I could probably do that and have about 4 guys pay me $6,000 a year just to come and be free labor. But I'd feel bad doing that. But I've had 100 different people send me resumes this year, and the ones I usually hire are the ones that, and there's a lot of great guys that applied for a job I just didn't hire, but I had one kid drove out here just to visit with me. Well, fuck, I gave him a job. I thought, if this sucker's willing to drive 10 hours to come talk to me face to face, I'm going to give him a job. Yeah. But the funny thing is the guys that can help make your place better, they tell you, well, I've got some ideas I think would really make your business boom. Well, why ain't you in fucking business by yourself then, buddy?
Right. Well, and you gotta appreciate the drive and the want to, but I think I don't know that they all understand what all goes into it. And I've been blessed, a lot of the guys, well, all of the guys that work for me they're friends, and I think that helps. There may be, I know that there are people out there that are better than me, that are better than all the guys on the team. But what we've ran into when I've tried that is they bring in their way of doing things. So it's kind of like, sometimes you're better off to get a guy that doesn't know jack shit, and you mold him into your product. And that's just that's my take on it. And everybody's different. There are guys that you wouldn't have to teach anything, but a goose is not a goose is a goose is a goose. I don't think that's always a true statement. Things that I do here, y'all can't get away with in Knox City, and vice versa.
The worst thing is you get a guy that's in his late 30s and has been at 5, 6, 10 different outfitters.
He's an expert.
That's a red flag. That guy applies and you're just like, oh shit.
I'd rather hire a young guy that can hunt.
Just like Toby said, a guy that doesn't know anything.
Yes.
Then I can mold him into what I want him to be out here, and he can be a fucking animal. But
Austin Kaufman has been one of the greatest blessings we had come into work for us, and he done things his way, very professional. If every guy I hired come in and acted like Austin and fit in well and was part of the team and was very polite and stuff, I'd be really happy. But most guys that have worked like Austin did somewhere, they come in, they're kind of a pain in the ass. And he was not at all. He was a true blessing for us. But there are so many of them that come in. And it's crazy. It's the younger guy that's got the attitude a lot of times. But I would rather the young guy – I don't mind a guy being a little cocky, but I want one that wants to work. But I'm like you. I would rather hire a guy with no guiding experience that likes to hunt than a kid that's guided somewhere else.
Yeah. I agree.
Well, you sure knocked that out of the park with Mikey, Jeff.
I like Mikey. Mikey's a good kid. Mikey's just 18 years old.
Well, he's 19 now.
Or 19,
he needs to grow the fuck up.
He is growing up a little bit. I defend him because I like him. If I didn't like Mikey, I'd be like, that little fuck stick, get the fuck out of here and don't ever come back. But I like Mikey. That's the difference. I've had a lot of those I didn't like. That's the thing, too. If I like you, I'm a pretty loyal guy and we'll work with you a little bit. But there's guys I've had some guys in here that's some straight killers that were just pricks, and I didn't want them around.
it blows my mind the amount of bad attitudes that are in this
Oof.
industry. I've done a lot of shitty things to make money, and is it a job? Is it strenuous? Yeah, absolutely. People think that I think they've got this idea when they get into hunting for a living that it's all just rainbows and butterflies and they're gonna get up and just get to go hunt every day. They don't realize the work that goes into it. But man, I've gone on hunts where if I travel, I'm gonna go with a guide because that's their area, and I expect them to know their area like I know mine. And I can't tell you how many times I've gone on a hunting trip with somebody, and you're on vacation, if you will, and the guy's a cranky prick, and it's hard to enjoy
Yeah.
yourself. So that's something we harp on, is just try to even the bad days, have a good time, cut up with each other, have a good time, and try to make it more than just a hunt.
A good attitude can save a bad hunt. I mean, if even
Yeah.
even if you're going on a week of bad hunts, if you've got a good attitude, because you gotta. That's the main thing that guys don't realize is these people are on vacation. They're spending money with
Yeah.
you, and birds aside, it's your job to show them a good time.
Yeah.
Whether it's cutting up, whether it's 1,000 birds in your face, it's your job to make sure and make the best out of whatever situation that you have. That's the secret to guiding.
Yeah.
If you want to make money, go out there and give them a good time. Don't worry about your numbers. Show them a good time, and everything else will take care of itself.
Absolutely.
What were you going to say, Jeff?
I lost my train of thought, I think.
So what was your instrument of choice? Were you a guitarist?
Yeah, I played guitar, and in my band days, I was the front man. I played guitar and sang, uh, and now I miss it at times, but I could not imagine trying to live that life anymore. With a family, uh, got friends that do, and they make it work. But yeah, I can't imagine my life if that path would have if I would have lived the life that I thought I was going to live. I can't imagine how it would all have turned
So how
out.
close were you to getting your big break?
Man, I mean, we did some cool stuff. We played on a USO tour. I got to ride on the fancy buses. We were the fine print at the bottom of the posters, on some of the bigger
Your name
festivals
was
and
still
stuff.
there though.
So
Your name
I'm
was
sorry,
still up there though, so that's all that counts.
name was still up there. We got to play a lot of cool stuff. We did some private showcases for Epic and Atlantic Records, and back in that time, that it didn't get any bigger than that. And right after we did that, I think at the time when we did those, I was the oldest one in the band. I was 15 or 16. I don't think I was driving yet. And my bass player at the time, that kid that played bass with me was like 12 years old, and it completely freaked his parents out. That was all we wanted was to be the next big thing, and we worked our ass off. As soon as we got home, it wasn't 2 or 3 weeks later. His parents just kind of freaked out and pulled him out. They were like, "Look, we don't want our kid growing up too fast. They didn't want their kid to be a Backstreet
Right.
Boy, and it crushed us all. Slowed down progress. Obviously now our band is just kind of at a halt. You've got two record companies that at that point they were just like, hey, just keep sending us stuff, keep sending. They just wanted us to keep sending them music, and our band basically just kind of was at a halt for a while. We had to find a new bass player and just kind of start over. And but that I think was the closest we ever got to making the big record deal break.
So
Everything was going. Hold on, I'm not done with my band shit, Jeff.
I was going to ask a band question too, dickhead.
Well, get in line, write it down so you don't forget. 15 years old, you're right there. Does that freak you out as like a 15-year-old, or were you just kind of naive and thinking, well, this is just how it's supposed to be?
Yeah, at 15 years old, you think you can conquer the world. And at that time, like Amarillo, it's not hard to be a rock star in your hometown.
Right.
We were young kids. We were making money, playing anywhere we wanted to play, playing all of the big festivals around here and stuff. Uh, but obviously, at 15, it's hard to go tour much and travel a lot. We did what we could, and we had parents that supported that. And especially when you get the opportunity to play record, in front of record executives. It wasn't a dream at that point. They're like, oh, well, shit, this could work. But yeah, I thought I was a 15-year-old kid. I thought I'm going to be a rock star.
What kind of music did y'all play?
It was rock, but when you say rock, people kind of get the wrong impression. I would kind of classify us in the same areas like Aerosmith, Black Crowes, that kind of blues based rock.
Kind of shit that I would listen to.
Yeah, and I wasn't the hard heavy metal kind of guy. It was I'm a blues guitar player, so blues driven guitar kind of stuff.
I'm glad you're a guitar player. I'm going to ask you this question.
Oh fuck! Here we go.
And just give us the answer: Eddie Van Halen or Prince? Who's a better guitar player?
Oh man, I mean, I would have to say Van Halen's probably the better guitar player.
Go. That's the answer. Yep, that's all I needed right there.
All I said. Okay, here's where this all fucking started.
Prince is a great musician. I'm not knocking that at all.
Will you give me my moment?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to educate you here, Jeff.
Oh boy, here comes the school bell.
I was doing, it was fucking late at night on YouTube, and I was listening to the song "Creep" by, I think, Radiohead. I forget who it is. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Prince did a version of "Creep." And he's got a little guitar solo in there, and it was the fucking coolest thing that I'd ever seen in my entire life. Just him playing that fucking guitar. He shreds for about 15 seconds, and then he does what Prince does and all the other shit. I have never, and I've not searched this on YouTube or anything like that, but I've not seen Van Halen play other people's stuff and kill it like I have seen Prince. So that's all it was. Prince is a hell of a guitar player.
He didn't have to play other people's stuff because he played his own shit.
It gets my dick hard when I see another guy play another guy's stuff and just murder it. That's what I like. If I see another guy sing another guy's song and kill it, it's the coolest thing in the world.
Have you seen the video of the kid that's probably about 12 years old, and he's at a what's the guy's name that's married to Carmen Electra? David Grohl, maybe?
No.
Oh,
Carmen Electra.
What is his name?
Carmen Electra.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Foo Fighter guy.
Yeah, they had the TV show. He was in Jane's Addiction. Dave Navarro.
Yes.
Did you see the deal? He's playing concert and he brings a little 12-year-old kid up here, and the kid does Metallica as Mr. Sandman. Fucking knocks it out of the fucking park. Anyways, this is the whole thing with Andy, since you're a musician and me and Andy can't even spell musician. But I'm gonna be the chiropractor and I'm gonna straighten Andy out right here.
Oh.
Listen to this. Andy's never even seen fucking Purple Rain the movie. How can you be fucking on Prince's jock and have not seen that movie?
He does have a point.
When he told me that at Blue, I was like, you know what? Don't even fucking argue about Prince no more if you hadn't seen that movie.
I got on Prince's bandwagon in the middle of the fucking night, and we had a podcast the next day, and that's how I didn't have time to fucking watch Purple Rain.
That's a very good show, and he was a damn good. I don't hate Prince. And then we got in the conversation that Michael Jackson is better than Prince. I think Michael Jackson had the best album ever, and he's 3 of the top 15 top-selling albums ever. Prince was great. Michael Jackson was the GOAT. That's what I think. And I'm not a big Michael Jackson guy either, but he was the GOAT. Now, you played the Crows music, and you played Aerosmith. Did that kid that was 12, did he ever get back in music again, or was he never ever pick up and play again?
He relocated. He moved to Lubbock shortly after that, and he never did start playing there. Now, we're all grown. He's living in Colorado. I think he's about like me. He never did start another band or join another band that I know of anyway. But when you're kids, we were family, we were brothers, but you almost kind of lose contact when somebody just moves. It's 2 hours away. It doesn't seem like that would be a big deal, but you got to remember this is before Facebook, FaceTime, all that kind of stuff. So he was just kind of up and gone.
Yeah,
and
100 miles is no different than living 1,000 miles away, basically, at that time.
That's true. Yeah.
I mean, I grew up in Wichita Falls. I live 90 miles away from it, and without Facebook and stuff for 10 or 15 years, I didn't have much to do with anybody. Not Wichita Falls is just too far away. I mean, you don't dislike people; you just don't see them anymore. Would you want your child to be a rock star and travel and be in a band?
I would support it. there's nothing wrong with it. I would support it because my parents did. Uh, and there's nothing wrong with that lifestyle. You just have to know what you're getting into and be prepared for it. You know, at a young age, uh, you're not going to put many substances or anything in front of me that I hadn't seen or been around. I think a lot of people get this idea that it's all fairy tales and just like what we're talking about on the hunting stuff. People just think that, oh, they're living the life. They've got this fancy bus. They get to wear a Rolex watch and do all this cool stuff. But why are they hooked on? Why are they a fuck up on every kind of drug or whatever? Their life is 2 hours. They get out of that bus for 2 hours. The big guy gets out of the bus for 15 minutes or an hour, goes onto the stage, and then is right back on. That's no rainbow of a life. But that's what you dream for. When you make that, you made it.
I don't know how anybody does it and keep their sanity.
No, I don't.
I mean, you look at Prince. I listened to an interview, tried to listen to an interview with David Lee Roth. It's just like, Jesus Christ.
He's a fuck up.
This motherfucker is on Mars right now.
And grew up a great life. He was a privileged kid growing up. His dad is a wealthy, wealthy man.
Even Ted Nugent in our circle, like, he's out there.
Yeah, they're
But I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's
it's just the lifestyle that's go, party. You're always at the head of the party. And
but Ted, he didn't party. He's not that's not what he.
Yeah, but he was around a lot of that shit.
Right.
I like Motley Crue. Grew up in that genre, and I think they're a great band. The Dirt, when I watched that thing on Netflix, was a really good show because it reminded me, it was cool, that music and that lifestyle. And I always thought Vince Neil was a bad motherfucker anyways. But I felt sorry for Vince Neil when I watched that show. I didn't know he had a little daughter that died of cancer. And that broke my heart. And I thought, I could see where he'd be angry and mad. And he was, God dang it, we lost him again.
You're good.
And I felt bad about it. I mean, I didn't feel bad, but that lifestyle of being a rock star, everybody wants to be a rock star, but all the stuff that goes with it's not all glory. I mean,
well, there's no privacy. There's no anonymity anymore. I mean, everybody knows your business, and everybody knows, just like Vince losing his daughter, he had no fucking private time to go and heal the way that you would need to heal after losing a kid. I mean, you lose everything.
You think Britney Spears is a total fuck up, Toby?
Man, my wife's been kind of keeping me in the loop on that. I live so far in the dark now. I didn't even know any of that was going on, but I can't imagine being controlled by your dad being a grown woman. But sorry,
you're good. Your phone's.
What do we got going on here?
You're still on.
Your phone's probably ringing. People are trying to book hunts with you.
Yeah, probably so. But no, I can't imagine not being able to be in control of your own money.
She's had a shitty life, but she is really
She's had a shitty life?
Yeah, she's been a prisoner in her own fucking body. They got her on birth control.
The last 10 years have been shitty.
She grew up as a child star. Her parents used her to make a ton of money. She's a big star. She's a good-looking sumbitch also, I had to say. But she is really weird.
$16,000 a month is what her dad was getting out of this conservatorship or whatever. And I don't blame her. She said, listen, I'm not going back on stage until this shit's squared away.
Well, I don't blame her at all.
So why would you sign a big deal?
But she is a really screwed up individual. I mean, if you look at her Facebook, her Instagram, she's got crazy eyes.
Yeah, she's a crazy bitch. No, and I say bitch in the most loving way that I can.
The nicest
fashion that I can.
Yeah, if you'd have dropped the C word, it would have been bad. Bitch is a compliment.
So do you is there a right time to get famous? I mean, child stars, they all end up screwed up.
53.
I mean, some of them, I would definitely venture to say most. I don't know, man. I think it all comes down to the person and their personality, I guess, or their upbringing. Like, I still, you remember the boy band Hanson when we were younger?
Yeah.
They were thrown to the wolves, and then they kind of fell off the face of the earth for a while. And now you look those guys up, and they're still playing. They're some of the most talented musicians out there. They just have that chemistry, but they had an upbringing, from what I understand, that they're three brothers that didn't start hating each other. I ran off on a tangent on that one,
well,
but
no,
I don't know if there's a good time. It just depends on the person.
I think if you have your feet kind of on the ground and a little bit of level-headedness to you,
you can take every background of every kid group that ever has made it. The Osmonds, they're all screwed up.
Jackson 5.
The Jackson 5 is screwed up. The Partridge Family. The Kardashians were making sex movies. They're not even entertainers. They were just having sex on TV.
She's the richest lady alive.
Who?
Kendall, I think.
Well, she hadn't made a sex tape yet. Imagine how much money she'll start when she starts doing fucking on tape. The other people are all freaking messed up in the head. Every one of them, even the Christian kid bands, most of them are messed up. It's a tough lifestyle, but I think it comes down to parenting. You still hang out with rock and roll and musicians and stuff. You hang out with them guys all the time, but you go home to your normal life when you get away from them. Those guys don't have that life that you have.
Right. That's absolutely true. And the other thing is touring. 10 years ago, 15 years ago, everything, all of your money does not come from record sales anymore. You can download full albums and all that stuff, and you'll make some monies off your royalties or whatever, but touring is where you make money, and those guys would go out on tours for months at a time. How can you stay sane?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
so like 30 years ago, though, if you wrote a hit song, you made a lot of money just off of the radio play and stuff.
The royalties.
Right. Today, those guys don't make that money. That is correct, right?
I think they still make some, but no. I mean, it's pennies on a dollar kind of thing.
Yeah, like Apple iTunes and them have ruined that kind of stuff. But like when I was a kid, everybody, and we talked about this another episode too. 50-year-old men, I don't have a clue about a new band. If I listen to music, I still listen to 70s classic or the music that I grew up with. That's probably what you listen to and most everybody else listens to. I don't know a band on the radio, but when my dad was my age, he listened to the radio every day because it's what was on, and you knew all the new music coming out. So, and people went and bought albums. Nobody buys an album no more. You download a song here and there.
Well, see what you think about this, Toby, but I think the market is just so flooded with music because it's so easy to get a song out there. Anybody can put a song up on iTunes. Back then, you had to be with a record label.
Yeah, we were talking about the social media. Jeff said a while ago, the pulling the kid up on stage. If you did that 10 years ago, or we're aging ourselves, but Facebook and stuff was not around even back when I was playing. So we didn't see those videos of the little cute 12-year-olds playing. We were the little cute 12-year-olds playing at the bar every week or whatever, but nobody saw you unless you were out on the road.
Right.
Now, with the power of social media, iTunes, you can upload your stuff on YouTube or whatever. It's just the power of social media or, the internet alone, it's a different time.
Right. I mean, if you put out good stuff, you'll get discovered. I mean, there's just the internet is too powerful. There's this lady on Instagram that I watch. I don't even follow her, but she just pops up on my my reel all the time, and it's a chick from like Iceland or something, and she plays different guitar licks, and that's all that she does, and it's the coolest fucking thing. It's the coolest fucking thing to watch. What's harder? Goose season or being out on the road with the band?
I would say, it's kind of apples and oranges. When you're out on the road, you're basically stuck with four guys.
Right.
And like Jeff said, you're just expected to party all the time. Hunting season, I was never on the road for 100+ days straight. Sure, there are guys that are, and I would venture to say that they have a rough time just like we do with hunting. But with hunting season, you're up at 4:00 in the morning. You're not getting in bed till 10 or 11 if you're lucky at night. It wears on you. So it's pretty similar, but I would say for me, hunting season's damn sure harder because I'm older now than I was when I was playing the music thing.
Yeah, yeah, and you don't think any, and there's always like that recovery day or something. You're on a tour bus. You can do whatever you want. You can sleep or whatever.
Sleep it off. Yeah, sleep it off until 10 o'clock the next night. Go get on stage again and start over.
Back to the video deal. I was talking about that kid playing Metallica's song. It's on Facebook. It's had millions and millions of views. I don't even know how many, and I'm not going to look it up right now. But Hank Williams Jr. was playing Jambalaya with Hunter Hayes when Hunter Hayes was 6 years old, and I've seen that video a few times. But it was in 2007. I'll bet you the kid from Metallica's videos got 10 times more views than the Hunter Hayes playing at some big festival in Louisiana with Bo Cephas, just because of what you said. You're in the spotlight, and it's instant media exposure, and what a time.
Yep.
So, did you get the music bug from? I mean, Eric is also a guitar player, guitar builder. Is that the side that you got this from?
No, so Eric, he's older than me, and
quite a bit.
I started playing guitar when I was, I guess, 6 years old, and where I got it from, my dad, he was working construction with Googie's family actually, and he was traveling all the time. He was actually working in Austin, and I remember I was 6 years old. Dad flew in, and back then you could go and meet your parents when they got off the gate at the airport. Well, I go and meet my dad. Hadn't seen him in, I don't know, it felt like a lifetime, but months or whatever, however long he'd been gone. Well, he gets off the airplane, and he's got this guy that he was bringing back from Austin to work for him here. This guy had hair down to his ass and was carrying a guitar case, and now he's one of my best friends. But at that time in my life, I hadn't seen that, and I wanted. It was just like a match. I wanted that. I wanted to grow my hair out. This guy was the coolest thing I'd ever seen, and so I found out that he also played drums. Well, I wanted to be a drummer, so parents bought me a drum set. That was too damn loud, so it didn't take long, and they got me a guitar, and that's kind of where it all started. But when you're a kid, you see somebody that you look up to, and that's all it took. I had an old yellow Walkman CD or a tape player. It wasn't even CDs. It was just a cassette tape player. And I vividly remember being out in the backyard listening to the Eagles. I had one tape, listening to the Eagles and playing on a broomstick, and that's just where it started.
So are you self-taught, or, I mean, I'm assuming?
No, my parents got me into guitar lessons really early on. I'm one of the few musicians that I know that I can't read music. I'm dyslexic, and I've gone through several different guitar teachers all the way into college. I can play by ear, but I've never learned like actual sheet music. It just does not make sense to me. I can read it, but it's going to take me 4 days. It's not like I can sit down and sight read something. So that was kind of a struggle, but no, I'm definitely not self-taught. I've had lessons from several different people over the years.
There's a meme going around, and we as parents, we try to, we're giving our kids so many electronics and all this other stuff. But this quote, it says, "I find myself worrying most that when we hand our children phones, we steal their boredom from them. As a result, we're raising a generations of writers that will never write, artists who will never start to doodle, chefs that will never cook, and musicians who will never pick up a guitar and start strumming."
Because of the phone?
Kids are never bored anymore. And
how scary is that?
And I worry that in 20 years, we're not going to have another great band. We're not going to have another great. If we do, it's going to be from poor people.
Creativity is gone.
Well,
it's going away.
But I mean, you picked up a guitar and you were passionate about it, and that's what you did. Had you had a phone in front of your face for 16 hours a day, you probably wouldn't even have picked up that guitar. Yeah. I mean, would I have picked up a goose call had I not been, trying? Now, obviously, it's a little bit different, but we need to be more careful about what we do with our kids, or music and everything else that we love might not be around.
What is the game that they play that's Rockstar or something that's on PlayStation or was? What was that game called?
Rock Band?
rock band or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the Guitar Hero stuff.
Guitar Hero.
You know,
Guitar Hero.
How many of those kids didn't ever pick up a real guitar because they could play? They played that instead.
Right.
I mean, seriously.
they played that and they were good at it.
Yep. The band, it wasn't. It was Foo Fighters. David Grohl.
Yeah, Dave Grohl,
That video's had over 10 million views on Facebook. The other one with Hunter Hayes and Bo Cephas is 1.5. I had to look it up.
Really?
Somebody was going to correct us on the band. It was going to happen. So I want to make sure I got my facts straight for a change.
So did you?
But I'll say this.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, you were talking about the social media or just the phones in general. There is a flip side to that. Where we had to learn to play music, play scales, learn the instrument.
Mm-hmm.
Now there are programs out there. You don't have to be a musician. All you have to do is have a laptop. You buy a MacBook laptop with GarageBand. You don't need to know any music theory. And my stepson, I had no idea that he even had a interest in music. And it's been a while now, but he's working on beats, selling beats for like $2 a piece or something like that.
Oh, wow.
He has zero musical past or whatever, but you don't have to. You figure out what keys go together, and you can make music like that. And it's scary that that's the world we're living in.
Yeah.
I mean.
And I mean, music, it can touch on so many different levels, and it's this pure thing, and depending on what mood you're in, you'll get something different out of it, and I mean, it just. Yeah.
Is the live music scene going away, or is it growing like in Nashville and Austin? But how hard is it in Amarillo, Texas, for someone to find a local band that's not 60 years old to come play?
No, I don't think it's going anywhere. I think, especially the last year, COVID, people are ready to get out and about. Every live event, even around here, we had my wife she works for our food bank, and they recently did a deal they called Food Stock. And they brought in bands, but they were all, what do they call it? Like cover bands tribute bands. They brought in tribute bands. And, Amarillo people are flocking to these tribute bands. So I think people are so hungry for live music right now. Will it last? I think music is one of those powerful things that people need in life. So I think they're going to always support live music. And when music was kind of taken away from people, live music was taken away from people for a year, they're starving for it.
Yeah, but is it young bands or old bands? Because anytime we've had to hire a live band for anything, it's older guys.
You think it's because the older guys aren't doing it for money anymore? And like I owned a bar, and it was tough for me. I was a musician. I understand what it's worth. But when you're a bar owner and you're trying to hire a band, $500 or $100 a guy, it doesn't. I mean, it sounds like a lot to the bar owner, to the band. They're like, it's not worth playing. Those old guys aren't doing it for money anymore. They've already kind of hung that idea up, so they're going to play for a good time. If they go and make $100 a man, it's an okay deal. But those young guys, they're still trying to catch their big break, and they expect to make a paycheck.
Yeah, because when you're at that band and you're paying $500, you got to sell a lot of booze to cover your $500 for that band cost.
Yeah, absolutely. When some of the bigger places, like you get out on the road back in the day, and you go like the Whiskey A Go Go or any of those big well-known bars like in California and stuff, you had to go and pay to get your tickets, and then how you made your money, you paid to play. You make your money because you go and sell tickets.
Right.
It's on you at that point,
So they would give the band the tickets, and then the band would have to go sell the tickets.
Well, the band, they didn't give you shit. You had to pay for them. You basically paid to play.
Whiskey A Go Go made a lot of rich, long-haired guys a lot of money back in the day. That was the place to go. That's where Van Halen, all them started out at.
Yeah.
Talk about betting on yourself. Like, oh, motherfucker.
Yeah.
I don't know how many of these motherfucker tickets I got to buy. But
you think about it, though. Whiskey A Go Go, that's the same philosophy the high-dollar titty bars have. Those girls pay money to strip. That's when you got shit going on in your life right there.
When you're paying money to strip?
When you got a titty bar and them dimes are coming in the door, and they're saying, we'll pay you $200. You let us take our clothes off and let you sell overpriced drinks. I got in the wrong business, buddy.
Yeah, boy, that's no shit. So you
said you got 30-something years left, man. It's not too late.
You could start it now.
Titty bar coming to Knox City.
When a long time ago, I was on city council way before I was mayor, and we had this Indian guy come to us, and he wanted to put in a strip bar in Knox City. So me and all the Baptists that are on the city council, they're afraid to ask questions. Well, this is right up my alley. I like asking questions. So I asked this guy, I said, we'll call him Habib. I said, Habib, where are you gonna get these dancers?
That's racist as hell, Jeff. Why can't he be a Steve?
Okay, we'll call him Steve then. Steve Habib. So Steve says to me, he says, "Oh, Mr. Stanfield, don't worry." He goes, "We will most definitely use local talent." I was like, "Buddy, I'm gonna tell you something. You use local talent, your ass gonna be broke real fast." We don't have a lot of local talent around here.
That was his business plan.
I've got 30 years left. I'm gonna live to be 88. So I got 35 years left, and I'm not getting in the titty bar business. But if you could have one where girls are paying you to strip, it's got to be a money maker for them guys.
You would figure so.
I figure. But they also think if people are paying you to hunt, you're becoming a millionaire real fast too. So, I'm sure there's a whole lot more to it than what it sounds like.
So did you naturally pick up a goose call also?
No, I get jealous of all of these guys that come and work for me from Louisiana that grew up in the calling circuit and all of that stuff. No, Eric bought me a duck call for Christmas when I was young, and it was like a Primo's, what was it, Primo's winch maybe, I think is what it was called, and it was like a VHS box set thing with the duck call, and I remember just watching it over and over and over and trying to make duck sounds, and that's where it all started. But no, I had to work my ass off to figure out how to call because I didn't have anybody around here that knew how to call to teach me how to call. And then when I start hanging out with these guys that are just badasses, I've got nothing but bad habits to try to break. And I'm not a strong caller by any means. I'm strong enough caller to kill birds, but I'm surrounded by people that are just monsters. And I remember, when we were like hunting with Sean and stuff, and you're like, I'm gonna just put my calls in my bag because I don't even want to call around my neck. I don't want him to expect me to make any noise because I sound like shit.
You obviously don't need me today, so you take the wheel, buddy.
Yeah, y'all got it.
Exactly. Do you still hunt every day?
Yes, sir, I do.
Is that hard?
Yeah, it is. But on the other side, it's like if I could take a day off, I trust my guys, and I think it's coming. We need to give each other a day off, but on the same side, man, that's the time of year that we live for, and I love every minute of it. And if I slept in or stayed in bed, I'd be worried the whole.
You're frozen up a little bit, Jeff. You do not suffer from that.
From what?
Being worried that things are gonna fall.
I worry about it a lot of times, but I'm there. Huh? I'm not worried about it. It's what's going to happen is going to happen. But I go out. I'm there every morning.
Well, I'm not saying. I'm saying.
Oh, I don't have to go hunt. I'm not worried about hunting.
Right.
No, that shit ain't happening.
You're not worried that things are.
No, I got other things I worry about. I worry about more shit at the lodge than I do. I don't hunt no more. I haven't in years. But you're fixing to be dealing with some of the things I deal with. You're building a lodge.
Yeah.
And that's going to change a lot.
Absolutely. At that point, it becomes more of the hospitality industry, and that's another thing. That's my wife's forte. That's her business. That's what she's been in for a long time, and I think I've got a lot of that in my past too, from bartending, bar owning, managing restaurants and stuff like that. So I'm ready to give that a try, but it is going to be hard for me to take a step back from the hunting. You know what I mean? We'll see how that goes. It's definitely something that is in the works. So
when Mimi doesn't show up to clean rooms in the morning, or you ordered your steaks from Cisco and they send pork chops or whatever the hell happens, because you name it, we've dealt with it here. It's hard to be in the field when you're taking care of that shit. And that's absolutely, and that's one reason I got away from guiding, is we've taken care of so much other stuff.
Right.
And you're going to become a Jeff Stanfield, Justin Hill is what you're going to become. I hope you don't get fat, but I hope you don't age like Justin. So,
Well, I've already got the fat thing down.
no, you don't. You got a long way to go on it.
So, what is your what's your target date? Are you hoping to have a lodge by next season, 2022?
Yeah, I feel bad. We've told people for the past 2 years, oh, it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. And the worst part is when you've got the funds literally sitting in a bank account,
Right.
and you've got the plan sitting on your table, everything's drawn up, everything's ready to go, except for finding the right piece of property. And then when you find it, like I've had two pieces of property fall through. One of them I was going to have to run power for an entire mile. So it's different things like that that have held up the process. But without a doubt, like I said, we close on the new place the 16th of next month. The structure is already there. It's just a matter of adding walls and turning it into what we need it to be. Um, I don't believe it's going to be done by this season. I just don't think there's enough time, or
Right.
even it's not worth me trying to build right now. But I do plan on getting started as soon as we can.
Well, you don't want to.
So I would definitely think by next year.
You don't want to half-ass something and get it up there
No,
for this
it's
year.
not worth it at this point, man.
No.
It's not worth it. Most of our clients have already booked hotel rooms
Yeah.
and stuff for this year, so it's not feasible.
We were going to build a new studio this year, and cost 3 times more than what it should cost, and so we're staying right here for right now. Lumber prices get normal, we'll build a studio.
And I think I've tried to. I'm a very spiritual guy. God has taken very good care of me through all of it. There's a lot of this stuff that I believe is 100% God. I've worked my ass off, yes, but I think through this lodge process, I've been so gung ho. Let's get going. Let's get going. I was willing to bite the bullet and pay 4 times what it should have cost, because I know that I can make it back. There's no question about that. It will pay for itself, but I think God has been taking care of me, and this property that we found we couldn't have found a better piece of property, couldn't have found a better location. So we're excited. It's scary, but we're excited. I think it's all going to work out.
Yeah, and I mean, and now how did your Arkansas thing come about?
Those guys came and hunted with us here. Ray messaged me on Facebook, and it's just like what we're talking about with the kids messaging you all the time, come to work for you.
Yeah.
We all get those messages. Hey, do you want to trade out hunts? Do you want to do this, do that? He messaged me on Facebook randomly at one of those times where people were talking shit about me being a tattooed guy, or talking shit about my gun or something. And he sent me a private message just saying, hey, keep being you, blah, blah, blah. If you ever want to come to Arkansas and hunt, holler at us. Well, the year prior to that is when my little lung issue happened. So I wasn't going to be able to hop on an airplane and fly to Canada or Michigan or Tennessee or any of the places that I like to go hunt early season. So I was like, you know what? Yeah, we'll gamble it. We'll go and try Arkansas out. So I went up there and hunted early season with them. They came and hunted cranes with us. It's just some guys that really got along and hit it off. Then the tail end of that season, we went to hunt snow geese up there. They invited us to be on their team for that World Snow Goose deal.
Oh yeah.
Hit it off, and they were kind of talking about starting a guide service. And rather than having to start at ground zero, I was like, man, why don't we just take that 3 years that it takes to kind of build a client base and lose your ass for 2 years? Why don't we take that out of the equation? I can send you my overflow, and we just kind of work it like that. We keep the same name. Send you the overflow. I get a percentage of each hunter, and that's kind of how it all started.
Yeah, that's I mean,
somewhat of a franchise.
Well, yeah, and I mean, like you said, instead of it made sense on their guys on their part, like instead of may or may not making it, like I got clients either way, so
right,
it's a good deal.
And they're talented as can be. I wouldn't just have jumped into bed with somebody that didn't know what they were doing. The guys they prove themselves year after year. They work hard. They do the same thing we do here, and they're good at what they do. So it made sense for all of us.
Now, is the speckle belly, is that a new thing in this area, or have they had specks there in these numbers forever?
In Arkansas,
yes,
that's been their focus for years. I I don't want to quote them, or say anything that's wrong, but they've been hunting specs there for a long time. They figured out early on that the duck numbers were dwindling,
right.
and it's tough to have a consistent duck season there. So they just went to consistency, and uh, they've been in the spec game for, from what I understand, longer than a lot of other folks there.
Yeah, because specs are they're kind of going everywhere, and I didn't know if their area of Arkansas always had this big number of specs, or if it was something that had shown up in the last decade or so. What?
Yeah, I wish I knew the right answer. I don't want to.
Yeah.
Quote my.
No, you don't
want
to speak out of school. Somebody will get shitty with you.
Yeah.
Now, remind us
right.
what happened to your lung that year?
Random. It was just a random. Toby Brohlin had a bad day. Felt fine when I got up. Went to work. All of a sudden, had a pain in my back, just like my back needed to pop. Tried to sit in a chair, pop my back. Tried to have some of my employees at the time pop my back. We just couldn't get it to pop. Went to the chiropractor, got adjusted. They said they felt like I had a rib out of place or something. Mm-hmm. No big deal. I'd had back pain before, and the breathing was just, it felt like back pain, hard to breathe. Did that for 2 days, then went another morning to get adjusted, and the chiropractor was like, I feel like it's a rib, but if you're not breathing better and don't feel like you can breathe, don't hesitate, go and get checked out just to make sure. Went back to work, and that afternoon I'd kind of started a dry cough thing. So I decided, it hurts like hell, I'm going to go and get checked out. And they took chest x-rays and figured out that my lung had completely collapsed, rushed me to the hospital. I was in ICU for damn near 10 days. When I got there, they told me that I was basically 2 hours. And
you were 2 hours
no
from
rhyme or
reason. Is that what you said?
I didn't meet any of the.
You broke up. You were 2 hours from death. Is that what it was?
That's what they told me. I was within 2 hours of being dead. One lung was completely collapsed, and all of that air was pushing against my esophagus, my heart, and everything else. So they didn't even have time to call an anesthesiologist in. They just got me in there, split me open, put a chest tube in, and stuck my ass in ICU.
So what did they do? You were awake for all this?
Yeah, I literally had to go in and grit my teeth and hold my arm up like this, and they cut between two ribs and stuck about an inch, I call it a garden hose, stuck about an inch wide garden hose up inside. And because all that air was just floating around in there. They had to pull it out.
They say it's one of the most painful things you can do is a chest tube.
Was it instant relief whenever they stuck that tube in there?
No, that's a myth.
It's not.
They told me it was going to be.
It's not like
they told me it was going to be. They're like, we'll get this chest tube in, and they didn't really say it was going to be instant relief. They said the chest tube was going to suck. Like I said, I had morphine and all that stuff. I was in ICU. I think it was 10 days, and I mean it sucked the whole time. I was miserable. Every 2 hours, I didn't have like a morphine button, but if there was a clock on the wall, I could sleep, and 22 seconds before my 2 hours was up, I was pushing that damn button for the nurse to come give me my shot.
Jesus.
But they told me when they took it out that it would be instant relief. When they took mine out, I still couldn't breathe. Mm-hmm. Still felt like shit. They sent me home, put me on, I think I was on 100% oxygen at home for, I don't know, it was a long recovery time. I was on 100% oxygen at the house. Then I ended up with pneumonia. So it was a one thing after the other, and finally got me all cleared up, and I think I'm back to normal. But I will say that it's definitely, I don't have the stamina, like when I'm calling ducks or geese, I don't have the air pressure or the stamina that I once did. And honestly, man, I mean it's terrifying when you try to go and you go through something like that. You go to the gym after and try to work out, or anytime you're short of breath, freaks you smooth the hell out,
So what do they know what caused the lung to collapse?
I didn't meet any of like their criteria. I don't smoke. I'm not tall and lanky. There are I guess there are people that are more prone to it than others. Yeah. I didn't meet any of that. It was just an unlucky day. I didn't have a car accident or anything. There was no trauma. It just collapsed.
What the fuck?
No rhyme or reason.
Jesus. So that's you see it in the movies, they got like a punctured lung and they stick it in there and you hear the air coming out and like they're breathing normal. So I didn't know if that's how it was with you. So they just said they pumped you full of morphine and you just grit your teeth and they
Oh no, I didn't. I wasn't lucky enough to get the morphine until afterwards. When I got to the hospital, it was literally like one of those old episodes of like the 911 TV show. I didn't have any less than a dozen doctors with me the whole time for 10 days. Uh, they said we don't have time to get an anesthesiologist here. Do you want the priest to come and pray with you? And I'm like, what the hell? And that's when they told me, you will be dead within 2 hours. We've got to get this done. And so literally, no, they did not numb me. I didn't get lucky enough for that. They just made me hold my arm up and split me right between two ribs, shoved that damn thing in there. And let me tell you this, I thought I was having trouble breathing before they cut my ass. I thought I was going to die right there on the table, and they thought I was too, I guess.
Some people are like, just fucking kill me now. Give me something to make me go to sleep.
Yeah.
And I mean, you probably have a high pain tolerance. Like, you're fucking tatted from head to toe. So, I mean, your pain tolerance has got to be light years ahead of mine or Jeff's.
I don't know about all that. I mean, I know it hurt like hell. And it's terrifying, you know?
Well, and when they say, do you want us to bring the priest in? It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I just had a back pain an hour ago. That's all it was.
Yeah. Well, and the worst thing was like the paramedics that drove me to the hospital, because I was working in Canyon, which is about 30 minutes from Amarillo, and I was managing a restaurant. The night before, we had an event there. The paramedics were at this event. We were drinking cold beer the night before. So when they come, I'm sitting up. The doctor at the little minor emergency was like, we just need you to stay calm. This is what's going on. Well, yeah, try to stay calm. Yeah. They tell you your lungs collapsed. Yeah. But the paramedics were like, man, I promise you it's not that big of a deal. They don't see this all the time like we do. They didn't put oxygen on my ass until we got into Amarillo. We were just sitting there shooting the shit, talking. They didn't start an IV. They didn't know how big of a deal it was until they got there. They told me, oh, they'll get you on oxygen. You'll probably be home tonight. It's, relax. So that's my mindset. And then when I get there and it's, doctors everywhere, you want the chaplain to come pray with you, things turn really quickly. And the paramedic walked by and they saw the x-ray of my lung collapse. They're like, yeah, I'm sorry, buddy. Forget what I said. You're going to be here a while. Shit. Okay.
I got another question for you. And this must be a setup question because Sean Stahl asked me to ask you this.
Uh-oh.
So you and Kip Winger, what's the story there?
Show Stahl. we played a show with Winger, and they showed up late. The sound guy was already pissed off. The dude was just being a complete ass, and he freaked out on the owner of the club because bands get a rider. That's basically what all they request.
Yes.
And some guys, you see all the movies with, we want all red M&Ms or whatever.
Right.
Well, he flipped his lid about white. They had like off-white towels, and he requested solid white towels to dry their sweat off with.
Oh, geez.
And this is young, probably 17, 18-year-old Toby. The sound guy was a good friend of mine, so I was just cocky and arrogant kid. And I told him, dude, fuck you. You hadn't had a hit in 2 decades.
She's only 17's only hit they ever had.
She's only 17, yep. Well, and they had the other one, Headed for a Heartbreak, I think is what the other one was called. But, yeah, he was not the biggest fan of me.
What'd he say?
It was I don't remember what exactly he said, but it was
smart.
It was basically like, yeah, I was a smart ass. I mean, I can't say anything. I don't have any hits, but at that point in time, I thought I was going to be the next big thing.
But he was a has-been.
But
he was, and he was an asshole. Over towels. Come on, now.
Yeah, you hadn't had a hit in fucking 2 decades.
That's what's funny is a lot of there's no new. There's not there. I know there's new music, but you go to these casinos and you see all these old stars playing casinos everywhere. I mean, it don't matter where we're at. We're traveling. There's a casino and they got somebody there. It's like, I didn't even know that fucker was still alive. And he's playing at a casino. Yeah. So, yeah, they had 2 big hits back in the 80s, and that was it. That's fucking hilarious.
That stung him though. Like, even though you don't have a hit, like for him to hear that, like that fucking that was a gut punch.
And you don't piss off the sound guy. That's who's going to make you sound good or sound bad. And they didn't sound great. We'll put it that way.
Oh shit!
That's great.
That's awesome.
Off-white towels. Give me a freaking break. You imagine going to a concert and you're upset because the goddamn band guy's got an off-white. If Jimmy Buffett was up there and he asked for some white towels, not off-white, he probably got a little traction. He's still, for somebody that hadn't had new music in forever, he's still pretty. Right. He's a big star. But I just winger. That's funny.
So, what was the worst tattoo for you, pain wise?
Oh man,
the neck screams to me.
They all suck, but I would say probably the sides of my neck.
Really? What about
ribs suck?
What about like the they call this like the ditch, don't they, of your elbow?
Yeah, that sucks too.
So if it sucks that bad, like why did we get so many?
Yeah, I never thought that I was going to be covered. I'm OCD, so my first one was this guitar neck, and when I would turn my arm, it wasn't straight, so that drove me crazy. So I started putting other shit around it to make it all work. Well, then I just had one arm, so then I had to get the other one, and here we are.
Oh man! So off the top of your head, before we're going to start wrapping up here because we've kept you long enough. Off the top of your head, what's the meanest DM that you've gotten that just pops right into your brain?
The meanest DM.
You don't have to say who it's from or anything like that, but I know you've probably got some.
That would make it a better story if you told us the cocksucker's name.
You've had some doozies, I'm sure. Because I've had some that are like, fuck this guy.
Yeah, the worst ones. I can't remember like any specific names or anything, but the worst ones was like 5 or 6 years ago. Whenever it was, when I did my Louis Vuitton gun. To me, it was just a big joke.
Right.
And man, that thing ended up on every waterfowl forum, and it wasn't just one. It was just days and days and days of that gun being reshared and people making memes, and the ones that sting those when they're like pulling up pictures of your family and writing shit in there. That's the ones that really that sucks. You don't want your say what you want about me, but when you pull the family into it, that's gets a little personal.
Yeah, I don't understand the gun debate. I don't get that. Same with Chance and the Wonder Bread gun. I don't understand. It's kind of like this Olympic gymnast bullshit. I don't care what she does or doesn't do. And a gun's the same way. Whatever kind of gun you shoot, what does it matter to anybody else? I can't imagine.
It's just being different, and it's funny, man. I've got more support now for being different.
Right.
But 5 years ago, it was like, scum of the earth. You're a piece of shit because you're going to ruin this waterfowl, the heritage or whatever, What would your grandparents think? Well, I know damn well what my granddad would think, but that was just, it's that mentality. I wasn't wearing an American flag bandana with a beard. That just, I can't grow a beard if I wanted to. So, but it was just, I was different.
You're doing it your way. And people should either like it or don't worry about it.
Well, that's probably what they don't like about it. Yeah. Is that you're not playing by the rules that were set up.
By their rules.
Yeah.
If you were my grandkid, and you're not old enough to be my grandkid. I mean, you're way too old to be my grandkid. But I would say, you know what? You're getting to do what you want to do for a living. You're living the American dream. And there's people just going to be jealous of you. I mean, same as if you would have been a musician. I mean, good for you. Me and Toby got something in common. We both wearing polo stuff. So I guess we're going to get hate mail for that.
I'm not fucking wearing polo.
I'm wearing a polo T-shirt just like he is.
Where? You're wearing a Magellan T-shirt.
No, what is that right there? It's a polo T-shirt.
I got polo draws on right now.
Well, there you go.
Hey.
So
maybe all waterfowl guys are Ralph Lauren people.
Ralph Lauren.
There you go.
There you go.
My shit's Ralph Lauren, Jeff. You got to say it like that. What was the thinking behind the Louis Vuitton gun?
Man, I literally, it was just a camo gun, and the camo worn off and looked like trash. And I had just started seeing all these pictures of people going and getting the Cerakote stuff done. Mm-hmm. Found a guy that was local that was doing it, and I was just going to go and get my gun cleaned up, make it look like it hadn't been to hell and back. And I was just going to do like a solid paint job. And when I got there, he had done a pistol, and I was like, oh my God, that just, I'm not a Louis Vuitton guy. I'm not that. That's not me.
Right.
But I thought, man, when these guys see it every day, the hunters come and see it, it's just going to be a laugh.
Right.
And at that point, we were just kind of getting started, so there was still a lot of shock factor every day. These people, the guy that set up the hunt might know what I look like, but it never failed. Somebody in the group was like, that's our guide? Who the hell is this dude? And so I thought we'd get that laugh initially, and then when I get my gun out, we'd get another laugh, and it was all in good fun. And boy, it was not, they didn't take it that way on the social media.
That's got to be one of those times where you're just like, I pray to God that this just goes away. Just quit sharing this fucking thing, please. Yeah. Just, I'm done. I can't take it anymore. Yeah. Just fucking stop.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And now it's just become this fad, and I've been so over it, it wasn't like it was a big deal to me at the time. It was a joke, but now it's kind of like I'm expected to have Louis Vuitton on my gun, so by God, I'm going to keep people happy. I'm going to keep doing it.
So you've still got the Louis Vuitton gun?
Oh, yeah. I think I've got 3 or 4 of them in the safe over there.
Still going around. And now everybody's doing it.
Yeah, I got to come up with something else now.
Yeah, everybody's got the Wonder Bread. That was unique, but now I see it all the time. I mean, it's a staple in waterfowl. You started it. Everybody's got a fucking Louis Vuitton gun. So, yeah. Well, man, we're gonna let you go here. We've been going on an hour and a half, so we appreciate you coming on here.
Thanks to our glitching problems, but
thank
y'all for having me, man.
No problem, man. We'll get this thing edited up, and it'll be like nothing ever happened. So
if I run into Kip Winger, I'll tell him you said hello.
Yeah, please do.
Now it's been 40 years, so it's an even longer fucking gap.
Yeah. He's the fat bastard trying to stick himself in leather pants if you see him.
There's a lot of those guys in rock and roll that shouldn't be doing that. My buddy Vince Neil's the same way.
Well, and Axel. I think Axel's another one that's...
But you know who hasn't aged at all is Sammy fucking Hagar.
Looks the same.
Oh, he does, man. I'm telling you right now, they say that drugs, alcohol, and too much sex is bad for you. Sammy Hagar's living proof it's not.
Well, and, nobody's ever seen Slash's face, so as long as he has his hair, like, he'll never age. Comes out big hair and a fucking top hat, then everybody thinks Slash is the same age. So
yeah, the rest of Motley Crue, besides Vince, they've all aged pretty well, too.
Yeah,
boy,
Tommy Lee.
Vince looks like someone took a valve stem him in his ass and blowed him up a little bit. And he just...
Yeah.
I don't know how true this is, but I had read something. He played somewhere, and they said it did not go well.
I saw him in Vegas at his tattoo shop one day, and he didn't look nothing like... His old hair was thinning and shit.
Yeah, but this was recently. This was like a month or 2 ago. They said it did not go well for Vince on stage. So,
but he was a badass back in the day, though. Well, Toby, I appreciate it. Ever get up to Amarillo?
Thank you, guys.
If ever get up to Amarillo, I'll buy you a beer.
Hey, come on, man. God bless you guys. Have a good season.
Yes,
God bless
sir.
you,
good
man.
luck.
Thank
if you need anything,
day.
let us know, okay, Toby?
Absolutely. Likewise, man.
All right, bud.
Thanks again.
Bye. See ya.
Bye-bye.
Toby Brohlin.
Did you see how I did that?
You got it down right. You done a really good job.
Boom.
And for the record, Eddie Van Halen's what he said. And he's a musician, so that's the end of that argument.
He knows. I wonder if... now my Skype's doing something. Oh, it needs to update, I bet. What an interview.
Yep, good guy. Really good guy. Wish them the best. Have a good season.
That's basically it.
Yep.
It's here.
God bless y'all. Have a great week. Adios.
Yeah. Bye. Yeah, you can say that. You're going to be in Mexico when this comes out.
Hell yeah, I am. I'm going to listen to it on the beach.
Adios, muchachos. As always, go check out all of our great sponsors. If you need a pair of waders, you need to check out Shin Gear Waders. They're a brand new company. If you need a goose call, check out Pacific Calls. They've got a promo code BHP25. Dive Bomb Industries, Boss Shot Shells, Dirty Duck Coffee, Lucky Duck, Looking Glass Duck Club Podcast, Gun Dog Outdoors, Goose Creek Retrievers, Bang Tail Whiskey, Eyesight Drone Service, and Stanfield Hunting Outfitters.